Okay, welcome back. We're gathering back up here on the third floor. At the table are our 4 speakers, and each one of them will have 2 minutes to make any final comments they would like to make after since they've heard each other speak. I have my usual little signs over here, and I'm not going to, I'm just going to flash the red when the time is done. So can you guys all see this? Can you see it, right? And if the person doesn't see it, just give them a little nudge. And then what I will do is I will do my best to recognize people in the room who would like to say something. So you just have to raise your hand, and I'll do my best to try to remember approximately where and who you were and point. And I will give you the same limit. The more we get to the point, the more points we can get to. Does that make sense? So would you like to limit the questions to 1 minute or 2? What do you say? 1. I heard a 1. Okay, 1 minute. So as a psychologist, time control theory, time goes faster when you're speaking. Trust me that when you get the red, then you're done. Okay? And then we'll answer that point. Excellent. So now I'd like to turn back to our illustrious speakers, and perhaps Thomas Hylland Eriksen, would you prefer to go first or last?
I don't mind going first.
Okay,
I'm happy with that. And then we'll be able to return a little bit to some of the finer points eventually. Well, I'd just like to say that, a couple of things. I mean, I mentioned partly sort of as a joke that in the future, since there are so many programs for integrating immigrants, maybe Norwegians are the ones who are not going to be integrated. And I didn't really intend this as a joke, because there is something about the skills of living in a diverse society which are easier to acquire when you come from somewhere else, or if your parents have come from somewhere else, because then you're aware of difference. And perhaps you are where you were, you know, on the green rather than on the white or the red, because you're acutely aware of the need to be flexible and to deal with people who are diverse. And there's a recent study from Hackney in London by an anthropologist called Susanne Wessendorf, which is about this, which is about everyday conviviality in a super diverse suburb. And those who have the hardest time coping with this are the English. You know, there are people from all over the world, and it's not as if they're swamped by 90% Pakistan. There are people from really everywhere, from Poland, from Mozambique, from Romania, from Ecuador, and from England. And the English have a hard time dealing with it because they haven't acquired those skills. So that's one of the things we really need to learn. I should also just say that I'm really impressed by what you've done in Malta. I mean, I think because focusing on activities, focusing on empowerment, and seeing that if you don't have work, let's find an activity that's meaningful to you. And if the municipality can eventually buy services from CISA, you've really acquired something. I mean, you've achieved something. So it's very impressive and full of admiration. And I'm sorry that Jon Tore is not here. Give him my very best regards.
All right, we're on to the next one. Rebecca, would you like to speak next?
Yes, I would like to say that if someone wants to have a video of presentation of how we listen, from Euros can get it. We'll put it on our website of Arctic Meeting Point. You just log in, you know, to Arctic Meeting Point. Yes. And I would like to invite you to be a member in Arctic Meeting Point. It costs 50 krona per year. And tomorrow we have an annual meeting. Tomorrow evening, 7:30, on the Grønnegata 71. And we have activities 2 times in a week. On Saturdays, Norwegian language conversation training, and on Fridays we have artist meeting point from 7 to 10 o'clock in the evening in the same building, Grønnegata 71. It's a Methodist church, but we rent the locals, and we are very happy that church Menigkeit are so kind to us and allowed us to make music and dancing in the church hall. That was all.
He went to Alta to work in the fish industry. Not so many years ago, we had lots of Swedish people that worked in the fish industry for 6 or 7 months, and then they went on holiday to Australia or South America and so on. This one changed in 2006, 7, 8. The Swedish moved to the shops, the hotel, the restaurants, and the shops. And those who took over was the new EU member from the Baltic countries, and they seem to be staying on. Not everyone is going home, but there are some communities in the northern part of Norway that they are living here all year round. So that's quite new. And someone asked me in the break here now to use euros to get abroad, some of the students that are finished now. wanted to go to Europe, so please send me an email. We can talk. Yeah.
I don't have too much to add, but I just remember two things. I have three things. First of all, like I apologize because Ventura is not here, because CISA is like a little bit shy. He's believing in CISA, and because he is believing in CISA, so everybody around him starts believing in it. We used to discuss with him all the time, and we find sometimes that we are not going to use integration word. We prefer to use respecting, because it is the clue. If we as a foreigner respect the Norwegian, and the Norwegian respect us, and if they believe that we have an identity and we don't want to forget it, we can be very active in the Norwegian society. At the same time, we have our culture. We would like to keep it, and we would like to learn it to our children. It is very nice. And for the people who live in Tromsø, if you really need a meeting plus, so you have to earn it. If you told me that you are many hundred here in Tromsø, I just want to remind you, the election is coming in September.
Yeah, you took my point. I think the question for you is how make Rebecca stay in Tromsø. And Rebecca is a lot of people. But she also is one, I don't know the English expression, ildsjæl. You understand? You need some ildsjæler to make a place like CISA or Arctic Meeting Point be created. So what you do to make Rebecca stay? There was some politicians say, I'm not sure if you still are here. No. In Alta we are 20,000 people, a small town. We spend not much money, 700,000 kroner every year at CISA. Me myself, I would love to spend more money on CISA, but it's important not to spend too much money on CISA because we need those ildsjæler to continue to be ildsjæler. But we have 20,000 people, you are 70,000 people. That should make it 2.5 million from next year to Arctic Meeting Point, and then they can really start up. Thank you.
Yeah, tusen takk. All right, so now they have summarized their first responses, and the floor is open. Who would like to speak next? Sure, we can start in the back, and then we'll take you next.
Jeg heter Jens Ingvar Olsen, jeg er kommunestyrrepresentant og gruppeleder for Rødt, som er et mellomstort parti her i Tromsø, for de som ikke vet det. Vi hadde grunnen til at jeg tar ordet, jeg snakker helt norsk, jeg kan dårlig engelsk. Jeg tar det på norsk. På 90-tallet hadde vi et internasjonalt senter her i Tromsø, i 4. etasjen på Riberbygget, som i hovedsak kommunen finansierte. Det ble dels økonomisk om det, men jeg tror det var særlig politisk ikke ønskelig å ha et sånt senter, for noen mente at det isolerte de nye utenlandske innbyggerne. Det var jo ikke sånn. Det var jo det lignet veldig mye på det dere har i Alta nå. Og vi har jo jobbet noen år for å få det etablert, men det er fortsatt politisk motstand blant flere partier mot å etablere et sånt, fordi at det vil fungere isolerende. Det som er situasjonen i Tromsø er jo at Vi er jo 3 ganger så stor som Alta-veldet. Og det vil jeg spørre folk i forsamlingen her om, og erfaringen eventuelt fra Alta. Det er jo at mange folkegrupper etter hvert er blitt såpass stor for seg her i Tromsø at de etablerer egne samfunn. Vi har jo i hvert fall 2 moskéer. Vi har en ganske stor gruppe somaliere, og vi har en andre folkegrupper. Men vi fra våre side vil i hvert fall se det som en prioritert oppgave å jobbe for etablering av et sånt internasjonalt senter. Og jeg synes det var kjempeimponerende å høre det som var gjort i Alta. Jeg vil gjerne høre fra folk her i salen som har jobbet med det senteret tidligere, og det endringer til bare som internasjonalt informasjonskontor, det senter som kommunen hadde, og som ble mindre og mindre etter hvert.
My name is Aman Kadir. I lived here for 15 years. So I have my own observation about the Norwegian society, multiculturalism and integration. I like your dichotomy, the first dichotomy. You divided into old-timers and newcomers. It's actually realistic, I think. I want to use my own metaphor in order to describe what you say. You see that mountain? It doesn't move unless we move to it. If you take this bridge away, Tromsø will be an island. There is no any connection. The old-timers are like the mountains. The newcomers are like islands. There is no any bridge. How we cross. And what I see here is there is no, I haven't seen a very good definition of the problem, the statement of the problem. What is the problem? One, interpersonal. When we meet tomorrow, on the way, maybe we totally reject each other. This is interpersonal relationship. How could we change? The second one, social. The society is closed circuit. How can you go in? The second one, the system, institution. Is it really the system is hospitable and inviting the newcomers? You said, we lack money. Yes, true. Is there any political will? So, thank you very much. And you say we have a unique skill in the North. I really don't. Just can you elaborate on it? Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I think, you know, it's a wonderful metaphor, wonderfully evocative metaphor, that of the island and the mountain. But I have to, it's too poetic for a simple social scientist to digest immediately, so you have to give me a bit of time. But clearly you're onto something very important here. But some of the old-timers can also be islands. I mean, one of the things we observed when we started to do fieldwork in Eastern Oslo was loneliness. You know, one of the first things I discovered was loneliness. Among single immigrants, yes, but also among single Norwegians, who were perfectly culturally integrated in the sense that they had no language problem. They had no problem getting their social welfare money, but they didn't know anybody. They had no one to talk to, no one to call. Whereas the people who have their mosques, who have their ethnic associations and so on, they've got their community. Just to return to the gentleman from the point he made. They've got their ethnic community, but they may have a much lower score regarding integration into society. So I think what we are talking about here are not the ethnic associations, but the meeting places that enable us to become part of a larger society. So that is where the challenge is, the way I see it.
Okay, as the microphone moves back to the woman in the blue shirt, I just want to mention, since I mentioned this model, everyone is an old-timer, and everyone's a newcomer. It all depends on which community you're talking about. And so Norwegians are never always old-timers, and people who move to the city always newcomers. It all depends on where we meet. If we meet in terms of a particular occupation where I'm meeting a welder, I might be Norwegian, but I'm not a welder, then I'm a newcomer, and the welder is the old-timer. So we're switching those roles all the time. So it depends always on, the mountains is not one thing, and the island isn't one thing either. And I'm glad you brought that up in your comment also, but it is a beautiful metaphor. Thank you. Yes?
Jeg hadde spørsmål til Jacinta, fordi du sa at politikerne var skeptiske for meg og oss når det var etablert lignende senter, og så at det ville fungere ekskluderende. Så jeg ville gjerne at du kunne utdype det. Hvorfor mente de at det kunne fungere ekskluderende?
Helt kort. Jeg mente jo ikke det, og man må nesten spørre de som mente det for å få deres klare svar på det. Men sånn som jeg oppfattet det, så var det at det var å liksom isolere utlendingene der, i stedet for at de ble integrert i de forskjellige lagene og foreningene rundt i byen, så skulle man ikke lage et sånn gettoaktig internasjonalt
All right, another question, another comment? Yes, over here.
I have a more practical question about CISA, because we have in the city, we have organizations that have different offers, like Red Cross or Kirkens Bymisjon, that are doing a lot of things, and where there is a place to meet. So I am wondering if we are going to make another thing, that it should be a cooperation with the other organization instead of a competing offer. So my question is, how is it thought to be?
Is that a question? Is that an answer for Adha or for Rebecca?
But she needs a microphone.
Yeah.
Oh. I would like to tell you that I tried several times to make meetings with Red Cross and Bymisjon, and I have contact with them, very good contact, and I asked if they have capacity to give for us a physical place that we can go every day, the members, but the thing is that they are over, the capacity is already going over, and we can come maybe once in a week, use the locals of Bymisjon. So that was a nice offer of Aunt Karina, of the leader. And the Red Cross has over capacity, so they're working more with refugees than with working immigrants. But my wish is to meet up with leaders of Bymisjon, the Red Cross and other organizations and work together out, so that I don't create a new island on island. Because I tried many times to meet all these people together. And I hope we will make it one day that we meet and work together, and kind of brochure for newcomers in English and Norwegian language, so that we can write down in a small practical brochure for newcomers where they can go when they're new in town. So I still hope that we can meet, but I didn't get response on my emails, so that was very difficult. It seems they're very busy, or there's no will, I don't know. So I'm definitely don't want to compete to Bymisjon or Red Cross. So I hope it was a good answer. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a woman in the back by the. Oh yeah, excuse me. You respond and then we'll go there.
Maybe I just forget to tell you that CISA is not just for the ethnic groups, because in CISA we have the Rode Kors, we have the Naturungdom, we have like Malinge groups for the Norwegian women, and this what have been meant to be a meeting place, because when the people from the Rode Kors come to CISA, they will help the foreigner with the Norwegian language, and there they start like building the network. Yes, they have the Rode Kors have the activities, but it is nice to meet the other people in this place. We have 17 groups, not just ethnic organizations.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I would like to say that what you told me, I know that Red Cross is doing this Norwegian language practice once a week here in Tromsø.
Yep.
Yes, that's true. But and there are not enough place for all people. Many people need that. So I don't know how we will do it, but best would be if we would get together and have a meeting and find a bigger building where we can collaborate together. That would be the best.
Go ahead.
My name is Anne-Marit Rasmussen, and I came to Tromsø from Telemark more than 20 years ago, and I was very well integrated through this international house that Jens Ingvald was speaking about. And I think it was really sad that was going down for some reason. And it would be so nice if Arctic Meeting Point could raise that as an issue in this election or before the election in September. And so I also wanted to ask, it's so nice that we have these guests from Alta, but I'm wondering, did you try to invite some politicians or other people from Tromsø kommune? Because it would have been nice if they were here. Yeah.
I send email to many politicians in kommune, in the fylke. I send email to the journalists, but there were no response. So I think the political level is not interested. That's all my conclusion. But I saw there was one man tonight here. He's gone now. He is going to be all for the candidate. Yeah. So there was somebody from political leading, and maybe so that's fine. At least one. Yeah. So I'm happy about this.
This gentleman right here, by the aisle.
I present myself last week. We have been here, but I am Abdullah Muhammad Ali. I am from Eritrea. I've been living in Alta for 6 years, and it's nice to see you again here. And I know the Antura, I know Rabika for 1 year ago. I met her with her concept, very interesting concept, but I was very busy about how we can get the organizations to join. As it's written in their aim of this organization, it's a Parabli organization, or it is a Parabli organization, you have to join others. So I have a question about, did you send some emails to other organizations to join? Because I am a little bit busy about, especially the Muslim. I'm a Muslim, I am proud to be a Muslim, but I call myself a responsive Muslim. I am a computer engineer. Definition of responsive is as like screen. If you have a big screen, you will see the content. If you have an iPhone, you will see the same content, but in different shape. So we as Muslims, we have to be responsive to this society. If you are living in Norway, or you have to be responsive to England, if you are living in England, we need this area. And I want to use maybe a little bit more. I mentioned this when we was talking about the mosque. I said we don't need a big mosque. We need a big place that they buy for us computers, and we talk and we get they teach us the Norwegian language. This was in that hall for many years ago, 2-3 years ago. My point is very important with the place. I have been living in Bergen. I studied in Bergen at University of Bergen. We had almost 3 floors there. We have football, we have restaurant, we have many good places that you meet others. So we need a place. Thank you, tax Kadwa.
There's a woman in the back with the glasses in the green sweater. Is that right? Back there in the green sweater. Yeah.
Thank you for the very good presentations. It was very, very interesting. I would just like to actually further the previous question which was asked. When one talks about globalization, there is this thing about preserving your identity, which when Professor Thomas was talking about in London, for that matter, I lived in London for a bit, and you see these different cultures, you see these different local identities, but you would then imagine them to be intermixing. But what is actually happening is that you have to preserve your identity when you're outside your country. So when one talks about this fact that maybe there could be some general skills that every one of us could learn wherever we're traveling and with all the movement, how does that work out in the face of this constant need to be rooted, to belong somewhere? Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe I can respond briefly to both of these questions. Well, I'm not sure if I would call it a constant need. But what you see in a city like London, or in Tromsø, or in Copenhagen, is that you see two processes taking place at the same time. One of them is, as it were, the strengthening of a transnational, or ethnic, or religious, or national identity. And on the other hand, you also see mixing, hybridity, you know, that you acquire a language, you acquire new skills, your children go to school with people of other backgrounds, that sort of thing. And both of these things happening at the same time, sometimes in one and the same person. So it should be, we should be emphasized that there is no contradiction between having a sense of community and acquiring the grammar of and the skills of superdiversity. But there is also, I think I should also say, and this is a personal opinion, that the right to have an identity should also entail the right not to have an identity. You know, it should be a matter of choice. I mean, people should be allowed to leave their religion or their ethnic group and so on, because in this kind of, otherwise superdiversity is not going to work. If that were not possible, superdiversity would degenerate into many groups next to each other, which were bounded by mutual suspicion, if you see what I mean. But by all means, group identities should not be discouraged insofar as they do not prevent people from exerting their own agency. You go along with that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and then there's a woman here in the red sweater with the glasses. Is that right?
My name is Igis Nordal, and I'm Norwegian. I come from the south of Norway. I'm very interested in music and dancing, and I go every Thursday dancing Norwegian dance, and I have had much contact with foreigners, with refugees, and I like to dance their dances. And I would invite you to learn, if you want to come to dance and learn the Norwegian culture by dancing. You can come to Fullhuset on Thursday evening from 8 until 10 o'clock. So, and we are very, we tried to reach youth, but we haven't succeeded much. We have had international dancing earlier, but not now. We have only Norwegians at the time. But we are very interested in your dancers too, from other places. Thank you.
That's a very nice invitation. We have another comment here on the plaid shirt.
Some years ago, around when in 1994, when Tromsø celebrated its 200 years as a city, there was a lot of international activity here with organizations and with a lot of people from many countries participating, and we had festivals, we had concerts, we had theater, we had a lot of things. So I got to know a lot of the foreigners in this city. But as Jens Ingvald said, the support from the politician has been very meager, the last 10, 20 years. So these things has trickled away. And we have also lost localities where we had things going on. And, but I, for one, have not heard about your organization, so it has not been in the papers. I read them very carefully, but well, but I think it's very okay that you have raised this problem, because I recognize it also as a single person. I'm a grown-up. I've lived here for 30 years, but I'm from Oslo. And I have to work quite hard to have friends and to have a social life. It's not automatic. You have to be curious yourself. You have to invite people. You have to start talking. So this is a give and take on both sides. So, but I applaud the initiative you have, and also for having this meeting tonight, because maybe we can have a more open and more interesting city from now on. Thank you.
Gentleman in the striped shirt on the back.
Yes, my name is Urs Goldbach. I'm from Switzerland. I have lived here for 45 years. I was a co-founder of International Club in Tromsø. It worked for about 2 years, I think, from 70 to 72. And then it died away. But I think for a foreigner, the most important thing is to learn the language. To neglect, not neglect, but I don't know exactly, maybe deny perhaps, to speak English. You have to speak Norwegian. Otherwise you can't get in contact with Norwegian people. There are many possibilities to participate in Norwegian society. I used my sports skills. I was a member of a handball team here in town, and I think it's important also to realize that if you will meet Norwegian people, you have to be out in nature, especially here in North. It's tremendous to be out in nature, and there you are meeting Norwegian people.
And they're always happy.
Mm-hmm.
They're always happy in nature. Have you noticed Norwegians?
No,
they always smile. They greet you. They say hello.
But it's much better now than it was 40 years ago. It is, has changed. But as a suggestion for a meeting place, did you have contact with Tromsø Kommune about the new locals in the old brandstation? Perhaps it's a possibility there.
Did you want to, Rebecca, did you want to answer that question?
I do speak Norwegian. I learned myself, and I talk to Norwegians in Norwegian. Today I choose for English because I don't want to exclude others. And I like to go to nature, but I don't like to go in winter in the nature. So icy and snowy, and I like to, and it's not winter, and I like to dance very much. So that's why we have this artist meeting point now every Friday. So we meet and dance, and you're really welcome to come to join us every Friday from 7 to 10, and we also make music. But I'm aware of this fact that we need to speak Norwegian, so that's very important. And accept the rules of the society and pay taxes.
All right, the gentleman in the back with the glasses is the lucky winner of the last comment from the audience tonight.
Okay, I'll make it brief. an opportunity to say, actually, I know you, Rebecca, and you're an inspiration, and we need to get behind people like you to make things happen. I've been here for 3 years. I'm English, by the way, so I recognise some of the comments about English people. And I think that really the key thing is it's based on need. You know, the politicians don't need to help us, but we have a common need to speak the language and reach out to each other and make friends and contacts. And my comment to you really was based about how much, you know, we should be working with the library. We're here in this building, a centre of communication, a place where everyone comes, doesn't matter whether you're religious or not, or what kind of sports or activities you're interested in. Many, many people pass through this building. And I think this is probably a focal point that we should possibly be using, building up a network here internally before we start worrying whether the next mayor, which probably should be you actually, is going to support us with money or not. Because ultimately what will keep us together is the network, whether money comes or not. So I salute you, and I hope that I can help you in the future, as many other people here probably will too.
Great. Now, as a moderator, I just want to remind people of one point. Actually, not as a moderator, excuse me. I'm stepping into my psychology role. One thing I want to remind everybody is that for everybody in this room, speaking another language that's not your own, or participating in activities that are not familiar to you, take courage. And just to remember that these easy things that we say we should all be trying, take courage. And think about that when we put things in motion, to give courage. All right, so here we go. This is the end of our great debate. We're not done yet, completely. I just want to say my last things, and then I'm going to hand it over here. My last things is that I'm going to leave it to the speakers to wrap things up. But before they do, this international seminar that happens weekly is a wonderful organization. Their next program is Russia and the West, Conflict or Cooperation. There is information about that on your chairs. Please look at that and please come. You are warmly welcome. And with that, I'd like to hand it back over to Rebecca and the speakers to wrap things up. Oh, and I want to show you one other thing. That little sign that I was showing people, do you want to see it? Do you want to know what it was? And it's true for all of you.
Somebody has a microphone? The other one?
Yeah.
Det står ju på the next week, and det är ju nog på torsdagen.
This Thursday. Yep, this Thursday. Come this Thursday.
I would like to thank all of you that you came, and you're a great audience. And especially I would like to thank Thomas Hyland Eriksen that you took the effort to come here and be with us tonight and help us to do this first move in Tromsø. And thank you so much. And I hope you like the present. Welcome. And I would like to thank also Tove Irene. Thank you so much to be our very good moderator. Thank you so much. Present for Kulturchef i Alta. Thank you so much for coming.
Bästa Hugo.
Det är du var väldigt flink. Helge, tack ska du ha för din deltagande. I hope we learned something together tonight, and if you think that was a good idea, then you can be a member in ARP. And if the politicians don't understand, then maybe we can help them to understand. And as I told you, the membership is very cheap, symbolic of 50 krona per year. And we have tomorrow an annual meeting at 7:30 in the locals of Methodist Church, which we can use for very cheap price. And I would like to thank Hugo Skars from Methodist Church, who is here tonight. And thank you very much that you collaborate with us and help us to start somewhere, because we use now the locals of the Methodist Church right here on the other side of the street, Grönegata 71. And please just take a flyer if you want to be a member and support us. Maybe we can make the Tromsø more better. Yes? And thank you so much for coming, and have a very nice evening.